on my computer and then be uploaded as its own file. So, hello everyone. Today is March 12th, 2025. It is 10:10 in the morning, so make a wish. And today I went on to stream on Twitch and I met an Australian fellow, very nice bloke, very intellectual, very knowledgeable. On par, like I find it hard to talk with him just because it's like, wow, he's as smart as me, you know. Um, but he told me about this thing called choice theory, which I thought sounded very interesting, and he sent me a lot of helpful links. So this is just going to be a read through where I'm going to learn about the theory. I got somebody on my Twitch right now, Bunny Goddess 191. They can also talk about the theory, anything that applies to them. But I do think that Twitch could be turned into an educational platform. Like I have some hopes that it's not just about being entertained, that it could be about being informed and entertained at the same time. I get a wheel of voices here so that I can spin it, and if anybody wants to have me read in a different voice, all you have to do is type in the chat. The all you have to type in the chat is !voices, and it'll take you to a Google Doc that has all of my voices on it. Of course, you'd have to see it in the Twitch chat. You can't see it here because that's what I would see when it pops up on screen for me. So, I suppose let's just get right into it. Get back to my window here. Okay. Yeah. Dr. William Glasser, a psychiatrist and author of Reality Therapy in 1967, developed choice theory to help people take responsibility for their own lives. Choice theory is based on the premise that every individual only has power over themselves and limited power over others. Hello, Stanley. But can still control how they react to situations. Stanley's always welcome during my readings. The theory allows one person's decisions not to affect others. This way, you avoid conflict with other people who may disagree about important life issues like finances and child rearing, for example, because both parties are free from feeling pressured into giving up what they want most if it comes down to choosing between two things: something bad happening versus your loved ones being unhappy, or vice versa. I have to choose, basically. I might avoid conflict altogether because, excuse me, I have to choose between, this or that. It also helps strengthen relationships while improving satisfaction levels as it leads to less negative behavior over time and enhances satisfaction throughout your life. Based on the theory, conflict arises because humans can only control their own behavior. I found myself with that struggle too sometimes, where it's like someone stiffs me and I really am bothered by that because I can't control what they do. Like I wouldn't want to stiff people, but sometimes I end up unintentionally doing it. How would I know? What Dr. Glasser defends is that everything we do is purposeful and an attempt to meet one or more of our human needs, which are instinctual in nature and have become a part of us through evolution. An understanding of these needs, as well as the major components of choice theory, can help us build and maintain better relationships with those important people in our lives and lead to happier, more satisfying lives. But which are the 5 major components of choice theory? Number 1, basic needs. Survival. Humans are equipped with a need to survive, so it's no surprise that this is such an important part of our lives. Food and shelter make up the most basic needs for survival. Without them, we're more susceptible to disease or attack from predators. Safety also falls under this category because if there were threats around every corner, life would be unbearable and not long. Reproduction plays into survival on 2 levels. First, as individuals, in order to carry on our bloodlines, then secondly, by continuing humankind overall, since reproduction ensures population growth, love, and belonging. We all need love and belonging, the desire for relationships, social connections, to give and receive affection, as well as the feeling of being part of a group is essential in order to feel fulfilled in our lives. Power is not a force which can be held, it must be constantly worked on and perfected. It's about being recognized for one's achievements and skills, having the power to speak up when necessary or desired, and feeling self-worth from what you've done in life. Power comes with many attributes: recognition of skill set, capabilities at achieving things that are deemed worthy by society standards, wealth, influence over others through speaking your mind without fear of retribution. All these different aspects help us come closer to our goal, holding power as we know it today. The need to be free, freedom. The need to be free is the desire for independence, autonomy, and freedom. This means that people want a chance to make choices in their lives. They find empowerment when given control over what happens next. Fun. The need for fun is the necessity of finding pleasure, to play and laugh. Should you doubt that this is as important as any other human needs or instincts such as eating food, breathing air, bonding with your child, parent, or spouse? Imagine a life without hope of any joy in it. Glasser links the desire for leisure activity directly with learning. All animals on Earth, dogs, dolphins too, are noted playing daily while they learn the skills needed to survive out there in nature, whether hunting prey down at sea level where predators abound or simply exploring new territory on land when necessary. That's how we humans work too. It might be true that play is a child's job. I did read a book once that basically the point of the book was saying that like everything we do is play. You know, like when you go to court, the judge is wearing a wig. You know what I mean? He's got a funny robe on, or he's got a funny robe on. You know, you have to speak with a certain language. You know, it's very playful. But they looked at it like civilization couldn't have been possible if we weren't able to come together and cooperate. Because it's not playful if you're murdering each other. That's like, you know. But they even looked at war as a game. You know, like we have kings and queens and armies and tactics and cavalry and infantry and archers. It's like these game pieces on a board are moving around. So the idea that it's like a game, that everything's a game, that was an interesting book. The Art of Play, I think is what it was called. Perceived world. The perceived world represents what we think we have, or what we believe reality to be. Our sensory organs are our first line of defense in understanding the world around us. Whether it's through sights, sounds, or smells, we rely on these tools to take things at face value and make quick judgments about what is happening. The intricate system behind how humans perceive reality can be summarized as a simple equation: input minus perception equals output. The information that comes into contact with our five senses is filtered by previous knowledge before even being conveyed to our brain for interpretation. This cognitive filter helps us build an idea of whom we are from our birth onwards based on everything that has happened up until now. You might not realize it, but the only real world you know is your perceived world. The truth of something may be a lot different from what we perceive to exist in our own worlds, where values and knowledge vary across people, because we all come to every situation with different knowledge and experience. Because they are made up of perceptions, our perceived worlds are highly subjective based on one's culture, education, experience, gender, age, etc. Our perceived worlds are unique. They are subject to constant change, new information, experiences, new perceptions, and they are frequently inaccurate. Often, our perceptions are chosen. We can frequently choose to perceive people, places, and situations in several ways. Tell me how. If you're late for work, you can react to it by getting angry and agitated, but you also have the opportunity to move on, knowing you're doing the best you can to arrive on time and accepting that it can happen sometimes, and then you just relax. That happens to me at work all the time. I'm an Amazon delivery driver, so what happens when I pass the house? Not a big deal. You know what I mean? I'll do whatever I gotta do to fix it. If I gotta circle the block, I'll circle the block. If I gotta, do the stop that's past that stop and then go back, I'll do that, but like, because I'm an hourly employee, I'm getting paid extra to fix my mistakes. If I was a flat rate employee and I only got paid so much every day, I would get very agitated when I made a mistake because it's like, great, now I have to keep working longer. If I'm hourly, why do I care? I'm getting paid more money. And I teach that to my trainees at work. I'm like, listen, when you make a mistake, it's okay because you're getting paid to fix it. So I can't understand what this article's talking about. You kind of get to choose how you perceive a situation. People are different, I think, because you're going off what they say, and you don't know whether people are being genuine or not, especially on the internet. Quality world. If the perceived world represents what we think we have, the quality world, on the other hand, represents what we want. Oh God, please don't let me cry, chapter. Don't do this to me. The quality world is a personal album of all the people, things, ideas, and ideals that we've discovered to increase the quality of our lives. It's often seen as an extension to your basic human needs because it illustrates how you meet those needs specifically rather than just generally following along with everyone else in society. The basic needs describe what we actually need, while the quality world gives a detail on how we meet those needs. The pictures in our quality world: 1. Meet one or more of our basic human needs. 2. Are changing and changeable. 3. Are unique. 4. Often conflict with each other. 5. Vary in levels of intensity. 6. Vary in levels of attainability. For a better understanding of your personal quality world, consider your answers to these questions. 1. Who are the most important people in your life? 2. If you become the person you would ideally like to be, what traits or characteristics would you have? And 3. What is an accomplishment that you are really proud of? This theory explains that we always try to make the world conform to our own beliefs and desires in order to get what we want from it. I dealt with that when I was a store manager. Oh yeah, the whole trying to the perceptions of people and situations and stuff like that. I get that. Okay, so who are the most important people in my life? It would be my mom and my dad. But yeah, that's who it is. Like, I could give like a more in-depth explanation of that. But I'll answer the other questions. If you become the person you'd ideally like to be, what traits or characteristics would you have? The person I would like to be is someone who's willing to hear other people out, which I like to think I do, unless they're being bigoted and, intolerable. And it's like, how do you tolerate that? It's like some things aren't just, to me, they're not willing to be tolerated. So it would be someone with self-respect. Like, it's someone who's willing to stand up for things despite what they might be afraid of in terms of backlash, I guess. And that might be why I'm saying I'm having such an internal conflict right now, because that thing happened to me on Sunday, or on Saturday. God, I keep thinking it was Sunday because I just didn't even go to work that day. Because he gave me the option. He's like, you don't have to come in. And I'm like, all right, then I won't, if I got the option. Some people don't have the option because they need to work. And I'm not in that position right now. I have some money saved up, but that's not the point. It would be someone who's willing to hear other people out. Someone who's emotional, but doesn't let their emotions dictate their behavior. Like, I don't want to feel nothing, but I also feel like I don't want to feel too much. But I don't know. Those are 3 of the traits I'd like to have. An accomplishment I'm really proud of, I just talked about this with the guy I was just streaming with, whose name I really should mention. I feel like it's disrespectful to not mention his name, but it's escaping me right now. Anyway, I'll try to post it in the description of the video so that people know what it was all about. Anywho, so an accomplishment I'm really proud of is the paper that I wrote for grad school. It was an 88-page paper, and it talked about, when people lose in video games, how do they react? What do they say? How do they save face? I talked about face work a lot in that paper. That would honestly be a whole video of itself, just me reading my own paper, which is going to be hard for me to do because I put a lot of work into it, and at some point, I hated looking at it because I wanted it to be perfect, and nothing's going to be perfect. But that's something I'm still proud of, so I'm willing to back it up and say, I'm so proud of it, I'm willing to share it with people. Number 4, comparing place. As human beings, we are constantly comparing what we want, our quality world pictures, with what we got, our perceived world. And this process of continuous comparison happens without any conscious effort from us. When these two match fairly well, quality and perceived world, we feel good. When there's a mismatch, you feel a degree of frustration, depending on how important the quality world picture is to you. The frustration signal, as Glasser describes it, is felt as an urge to behave in a way that will help us get more of what we want. Instead, when your scales are in balance, when what you want is what you have, you continue to do what you've been doing. When what you want is what you have, you continue to do what you've been doing. I get that. Total behavior. One of Dr. Glasser's major premises is that all behavior is purposeful. All of our behaviors are an attempt at making the real world conform to what we need and expect it should be like. Another way of putting it is that all of our behavior is an attempt at making the real world conform to the pictures in our quality world. The more we do the same thing, the easier it becomes to find a pattern and create an organized behavior. But when those patterns don't work anymore, or when we don't have a pattern to follow, we create new behaviors. He terms this process as reorganizing. This is our creativity flowing, whether we decide to use it or not. According to Dr. Glasser, all behavior is total behavior, and it comprises 4 components that are present all the time: acting, thinking, feeling, physiology. All 4 components are occurring all the time, and they are always connected to each other. The component we have the most control over is our acting, and the next most easily controlled is our thinking. Okay. The most control we have is our acting, and then thinking. The next most easily controlled, so it's saying you can't control your thoughts, but you can control your actions. If we want to change the way we are feeling emotionally or physically, the most effective thing to do is to change what we are doing. If we want, I'm just going to change it with I. If I want to change the way I am feeling emotionally or physically, the most effective thing that I can do is change what I'm doing. If because of the situation I can't change what I'm doing, I change what I'm thinking. So it's like a kind of looping that by changing one, I can change the others accordingly. If you're looking for a more engaging, creative way to study and understand choice theory, here are the 10 axioms of how you break it down can be applied to your personal life. All right, axioms. Here we go. Like tenets of the theory, rules, if you will. The only person whose behavior we can control is our own. That's number 1. Number 2, all we can give another person is information. All we can give another person is information. I want to disagree with that. But I can't give you my feelings. I can't make you feel how I feel. That's just such an impossible task. So all I can do is give you info. 3, all long-lasting psychological problems are relationship problems. 4, the problem relationship is always part of our present life. What happened in the past, I'm getting ahead of myself. Number 5, what happened in the past has everything to do with what we are today, but we can only satisfy our basic needs right now and plan to continue satisfying them in the future. 6, we can only satisfy our needs by satisfying the pictures in our quality world. 7, all we do is behave. Interesting. Number 8, all behavior is total behavior and is made up of 4 components: acting, thinking, feeling, and physiology. All total behavior is chosen. Yes, number 5. That is a good one. And I'll read you other messages. Just let me finish the thing here. And I'm not trying to be rude. That's just my preface to you. I'm trying not to be dismissive, you know. All behavior, number 9, all behavior is chosen, but we only have control over the acting and thinking components. We can only control our feeling and physiology indirectly through how we choose to act and think. You can only control feeling and physiology indirectly through how you choose to act and think. Number 10, all total behavior is designated by verbs and named by the part that it is most recognizable. So Dr. Glasser concluded that all behavior is driven from the inside, regardless of external influences. We are in control of our own choices, and all behavior is a choice, where every action we take is a result of those actions. This is called internal control, but most of us behave via external control. The belief that we are not responsible for our own choices and that states of being happen to us, rather than being chosen by us and coming from within. That's a tough pill to swallow. Most of us behave via external control, the belief that we are not responsible for our own choices and that states of being happen to us rather than being chosen by us. I strongly recommend reading the book by William Glasser and seeing if it opens up any new perspectives or if the world looks any different to you afterwards. If you're interested in knowing more about the concepts of choice theory and how to apply them in day to day, let me know. I'd love to talk about it. Ooh. This article was written by Colin N.B. Cooper. The title of the article is Choice Theory, a Supreme Way to Improve Your Quality of Life, and this is on LinkedIn. Can't see. Oh, yeah, there it is. Published in 2021. So, author of Reality Therapy. Seems like that's what the name of the book is. By Dr. William Glasser. So, that was the first LinkedIn article about choice theory. Now I'm going to switch gears and talk about the basic needs. I mean, we've already kind of talked about some of these things. All behavior is purposeful. Everything you do is your best attempt to get what you want at that point in time. Oh, wait, I got to read what Bunny said. Actions will always be easier to control or change. Thinking is a process that has to be worked on and worked through. Just because we go through conditioning throughout life, which turns into habits that we no longer are conscious of. Right. And I've always sort of felt like, oh man, I thought that thing, that's bothersome. But it's like, there's a difference between thinking something and doing something, But everything you do is your best attempt to get what you want at that point in time with the information available to you. Getting what you want ultimately satisfies one or more of their 5 basic needs: survival, love and belonging, power, freedom, fun. But I guess work is part of that. Like, you have to work before you can do all these other things, which sucks. Because survival, like, you can't survive. You can't have shelter, health, and nourishment without working in some capacity. Reality therapy and choice theory were developed as a way to help people take control of and be responsible for their behavior. The basic tenet of choice theory is to promote self-control so that individuals can increase their ability to make and act on responsible choices. Choice theory endorses the adoption of several connecting relationship habits that can be used in all your relationships. When adopted, practicing the concepts from choice theory becomes a way of life. Connecting relationship habits, supporting, encouraging, listening, accepting, trusting, respecting, negotiating differences. The opposite of the connecting relationship habits is the 7 disconnecting habits, which are based on external control. These habits lead to the breakdown of relationships. Being disconnected can lead to many of the problems facing human beings. Individuals use the 7 disconnecting habits to control people. Utilizing these habits leads to misunderstandings and resentment. The 7 disconnecting habits are criticizing, blaming, complaining, nagging, threatening, punishing, bribing, rewarding to control. In order to have a healthy relationship, it's very important to stop trying to control one another and to support, encourage, accept, trust, respect, and listen to each other instead. Just as happiness is a choice, a happy relationship is also a choice. You get to choose whether you utilize connecting or disconnecting habits. And then the 10 axioms of choice theory, we just looked at that in the other article. They were taken from the book Choice Theory, A New Psychology of Personal Freedom by William Glasser, MD. Yeah, I'm going to Google that too. Sometimes you can find the whole book online somewhere, but they give you the 51 pages of preview on Google Books, I think. Oh, wow. You can get it for $4.59 on thriftbooks.com. Fucking Audible. What is the difference? What is the difference? It's just one of them, you have to read it yourself. The other one, they read it to you. And it's like a $9 difference. Anywho. The quality world is a special place in your mind where you store the mental pictures and representations of everything you want. The people, places, things, values, and beliefs that are important to you reside there. The only thing necessary for admittance into the quality world is that it must feel very good to you and meet at least one or more of your basic needs. It does not necessarily need to meet society's standards of what quality is. Paying for convenience. Well, you're paying the audio book actor Like, are you not paying the person who's reading the audiobook too? You know, because it is convenient to be able to, because like when I'm driving 4.5 hours to go to my Renaissance fair, I'd listen to an audiobook. I haven't yet, but I can't read a book. So like that's something I would do. Just me though. I don't know why I'm still watching my. I did this so I can see when he's talking in the chat. Um, The only thing necessary for admittance, oh, I already read that. It does not necessarily need to meet society standards of quality. Yes, yeah, I read that too. Quality world pictures are unique and specific for each person. It is possible to have conflicting quality world pictures, which can create a quandary. If you could live in your quality world, life would be perfect, but unfortunately, you don't get to live there. Choice theory explains that the only way you can experience the real world is through your perceptual system. Information from the real world first comes through your five senses: sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. Next, these sensations pass through your perceptual system, beginning with your total knowledge filter, which represents everything you know or have experienced. When information passes through your total knowledge filter, one of three things happens. 1. You decide that the information is not meaningful to you, and that the perception stops there. Number 2. You do not immediately recognize the information, but believe it may be meaningful, so you have some incentive to investigate it further. 3. The information is meaningful to you, and therefore passes through the next filter, the valuing filter. Excuse me. When information passes through the valuing filter, you place one of three values on it. If the information is pleasurable, you place a positive value on it. Number 2, if it is painful, you place a negative value on it. 3, if it's neither negative nor positive, then the information remains neutral. So even if it is meaningful, it passes through the next filter. So when you decide it's not meaningful, you get rid of it. But so like even if somebody says something negative, you place a negative value on it. So like it's meaningful to you. So like the meaning is the first thing, and then it is assigned a value. So when someone told me he didn't talk too much, did he? It was a question phrased another person, but it basically like they were telling me I talk too much. Despite the fact that that should be a meaningless thing and something I should disregard, I can't because I feel like, you know, it was meaningful to me, therefore I assign some negative value to it. Because you have different information, experiences and values, your perception, because you have different information, experiences, and values, your perception of the world can be vastly different from someone else's. It's interesting and curious when that happens. You tend to believe that since you experience the information, or real world, with your senses, what you perceived must be right and true. It is difficult to understand that someone else may see, hear, taste, smell, and feel it differently. Your perceived world is your reality. It's subjective, unique, subject to change, frequently inaccurate. The comparing place is when you're constantly comparing what you want to what you have. When the two match really well, you feel good. When there's a mismatch, you feel frustration, depending on how important. The choice theory represents this comparing place with a set of scales. When your scales are in balance because you have what you want, you continue what you've been doing to keep it. When your scales get out of balance because you don't have what you want, you search for behavior that will work more effectively. One of the major premises of choice theory is that all behavior is purposeful. All behavior is your best attempt at the time, given the information at your disposal to get what you want to more effectively meet your needs. Another way of putting it is that your behavior is an attempt to make the real world look like the pictures you have in your quality world. The practice of choice theory involves understanding the choices you make to meet your needs and self-evaluating whether those behaviors really are helping you achieve what you want in a way that doesn't stop others from doing the same. The practice of choice theory in your life involves a transformation in your mindset and behavior from external control psychology, the belief that your experiences and behaviors are determined by outside forces, luck, circumstances, and other people and external factors, to one of internal control psychology, the belief that you are responsible for your choices and the resulting consequences. Evaluating the difference between what you want in your quality world and what you have in your perceived world motivates you to take action. Choice theory practice provides the knowledge and skills for you to let go of the myth of external control and reduce your use of the disconnecting habits to instead understand and accept internal control while implementing connecting habits. This moves you closer to what you want in your quality world, better relationships, and a more satisfying life. Interesting. This is the Glasser Institute for Choice Theory. And the website is wglasser.com. What is choice theory? Events. There's schools and stuff? Wow. Training and certification. Training. You can get training. You can an 18-month process to certification in choice theory and reality therapy. Huh. It costs $500. This costs $500. This costs 500. That costs 500. That costs 500. Once you've achieved the status of certified, you can attend a faculty program to become a faculty member of the William Glasser International. Just teaching people about this stuff? Can't you teach people for free? I have a master's degree, so. That's nice. Anyway, sorry, getting distracted. This is a deep dive. I might do this one because it looks a little shorter. But this is the Jungian side, Jung page not found, right? It's like, hey, I have questions into the authenticity of this. So what about that? But I'm gonna stop the recorder here at least because it's been in half an hour just to read those 2 articles. But I don't know. Like, I just think that it's not gonna get much traction, you know. But that's my own worldview. Like, I put out content like this before, although I've actually put out content on my like one of my most popular YouTube videos is me reading an article for grad school, where I don't know, some people have comments on it, but you know, so we'll see. But don't forget, nothing is ever gonna happen if you don't actually do something, right? Like, I thought nobody's gonna learn about this, or nobody's gonna watch my video because the video didn't exist. The fact that the video exists, now there's a potential, there's a possibility that somebody's gonna watch it. So that's gonna be it for this recorded version. I'm gonna go ahead and upload it to the YouTube. But yeah.